George W. Bush had to deal with this. Barack Obama had to deal with this repeatedly. Joe Biden had to deal with this. They didn't scream and yell and say we weren't going to listen to federal district court judges.
The Supreme Court blocked me from relieving student debt, but they didn't stop me. So far, I've relieved student debt for nearly 5 million Americans. A significant number are black borrowers.
I'm going to make it my goal that we never forget what Joe Scarborough said. Anytime he says something, I'm playing those videos over and over. Because how can he switch like this and expect everybody is as dumb as his wife?
Yeah, well,
you could just see that was going to be the reason. Because there were no reasons before the debates.
No.
Sorry, Joe. Saying the debate was like a shocking reason for Biden's downfall is like saying, oh, I didn't know Hunter Biden was a problem until I saw his artwork.
With no integrity whatsoever, this man lied to the hundreds of viewers of his show while staring directly into the camera. Greg Gutfeld, however, would not have it. He completely destroyed Joe Scarborough in real time on television, meticulously revealing each and every falsehood. You've never seen Gutfeld like this before, I assure you. Raw, fired up, and speaking from the heart. Watching a man who has a sinister sense of self-righteousness finally be taken down from his pedestal? Fasten your seatbelt. It's incredibly fulfilling.
I was talking with the authors of a new book that details just how Biden really was, how bad he was. And Scarborough acts as if he knew it the whole time. But it wasn't that long ago when Scarborough said this about the commander in coma.
He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically.
Cogent? I think he meant pungent. Keep yakking, you grifter.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
Of course it wasn't the truth, you bozo. Which is why you said it. This guy has always been more full of than a cage full of chimps mainlining Metamucil. Here he is in 2023.
Trusting Joe Scarborough is akin to putting your faith in a tree that has no roots. Both eventually collapse when the truth is revealed. Even more absurd is the fact that some people continue to nod in agreement with him as he repeats the same old bullshit he advocated in 2023. It now resembles a late-night comedy routine more than it does political discourse. And believe me, it's far funnier than you might think. Just not in the way he sees it.
Wake me up when I'm asleep at 8:30 at night, because Meek and I, of course, wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and I'll just go, hello? Yes, sir?
Yeah.
And about an hour later, he will aggressively and very effectively give me point by point by point about how my op-ed was flawed.
First of all, what kind of loser has to get up at 4:30 in the morning? So he relays an anecdote about Biden calling him up to talk politics. He left out the part that Biden thought he was talking to Amelia Earhart. But does anybody really believe that story? Seriously? Biden didn't have the mental capability to dissect his own pork chop for dinner, let alone dissect a Joe Scarborough op-ed. He couldn't debate a speak and spell, which is why they told him the speak and spell was the nuclear football. And Scarborough actually wanted us to believe Joe was still awake at 8:30 at night. By then he was already in his cryogenic chamber, dreaming about his uncle getting eaten by cannibals, overcoming oil cancer, and Corn Pop's love for hairy legs. Remember this stinky pile of crap from February 2024 after special counsel Robert Hur declined to pursue criminal charges against Biden? Hur said Biden willfully possessed classified docs, but it was okay because he's an old man with a bad memory. Well, the Dems exploded with rage at this obvious truth, and this hack led the attack.
There's so many people that immediately heard these random conclusions, irrelevant conclusions, who, first of all, wondered why in the world he would put that in a report. his neurological assessment of Joe Biden, why in the world would the Justice Department allow that dicta to be in there? It's gratuitous.
Well,
and he knows it's gratuitous, and it was bad faith.
In an instant, he validated our collective thoughts. They never portrayed Sleepy Joe as the person he was. It felt more like damage control than leadership, to quote him. And why are they even worried about this? We've never seen a president like this. They remark all the time. He is in good health. He's shrewd. Yes, all right. The Democrats continue to rewrite history to suit their own agendas. And this is just another chapter in that saga. They don't have any moral convictions. They adapt to the headlines, follow the trends, and rewrite the story each time it begins to fall apart.
My son, born in 1991, has a slight form of autism called Asperger's. But it seems, and again, when I was practicing law, and also when I was in Congress, parents would constantly come to me, and they'd bring me videotapes of their children, and they were all around the age of my son or younger.
The generation,
something happened in 1989.
Exactly. The generation, what happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids received 24 vaccines. And they all had this thimerosal and this mercury, and nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child on his first day that he's born is injected with a hepatitis B shot. Under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot.
And yet we're just constantly pumping our kids with these vaccines.
Right. And what happened was that in 1988, 1 in every 2,500 American children had autism. Today, 1 in every 166 children have autism, and plus 1 in 6 children have other kinds of learning disorders, other kinds of neurological disorders, speech delay, language disorders, ADD, hyperactivity, that all seem to be connected, that are all connected, the science shows are all connected to autism.
You know, Bobby, what we've always found, you and I could debate 1,000 different issues, whether it's Terry Schiavo or the environment. I think would agree on the environment. But in this case, you've got the federal government coming in saying, well, there's no good science. And of course, in politics, science always gets diluted. Why hasn't the federal government stepped up and worked more? Because listen, Bobby, I can't prove it tonight. You can't prove it, but intuitively, you look at the spike, you look at what happened with the thimerosal, there is no doubt in my mind, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now, we're going to find out that the thimerosal causes, in my opinion, autism.
You know what?
And this is Joe Scarborough repeating the same lines while acting as though he cared. However, the Democrats go crazy and scream when RFK Jr. says the exact same thing without altering a single word. The speed with which they forget their own words is almost lyrical. Here's the problem, though. The fact that the internet never forgets is still a mystery to them. All of the contradictions and double standards are visible to everyone. People are also beginning to awaken gradually.
Feet of a polygraph machine, it would burst into flames. But Scarborough couldn't afford to be honest with his audience because the Dems had a big bad orange man breathing down their necks. So he had to deny Biden's physical and mental decline, which the whole world saw every day. He had to blurt out hostile, fidgety or they wouldn't give him the pills that keep him from turning into a werewolf. His entire grift was so that he could be the last person MSNBC lays off. I mean, it's not like his night job as a butthead impersonator would cover his monthly nut. But now in 2025, when he thinks it's safe, Scarborough has seen the light.
I remember talking to a reporter 3 days before the before the debate, and we were talking about how Biden was starting to fall behind in Minnesota, that Virginia was getting really tight, uncomfortably tight, and Democrats were afraid Biden would even lose New Hampshire. We both said to each other, the funny thing is, like, no matter how Biden does in this debate, people are going to blame the debate for the way the polls are already breaking before the debate.
Wait, you mean the funny thing is that no matter how Biden does in the debate, he's going to be blamed for the polls? No, the funny thing is, If you had just told the truth when it mattered, maybe the Dems would have had time to find a candidate who could actually win an election. Hell, Jimmy Carter was still around at that point. He would have done a better job at that debate. But he didn't, so now you have to lie about your lies. But hey, it could always be worse. Morning joke.
That's right, and he won't be getting away with it anytime soon thanks to Greg Gutfeld. The truth becomes unfamiliar when you lie so frequently. Greg is out here rewinding the tapes, pressing play, and revealing every inconsistency in front of millions of people, while Joe may believe he is in charge of the story. Politics isn't even relevant anymore. It has to do with honesty. Additionally, you can know that Greg will always have the receipts on hand to hit replay if someone like Joe doubles down on the same old lies, and that phrase is still very applicable today.
Oh, they're telling you exactly what to say in the front. No, nobody's once told me what to say here. Well, actually, one person did one time.
Okay.
One leader did one time. I said, I'll tell you what, if you think you can do such a damn good job, why don't you come here and do the show 4 hours a day? I'm fine.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm fine quitting. But I'm going to do my show. I'll do my show the way I want to do my show.
I'm going to make it my goal that we never forget what Joe Scarborough said. Anytime he says something, I'm playing those videos over and over. Because how can he switch like this and expect everybody is as dumb as his wife?
Yeah, well...
It's not just spin when individuals like Joe Scarborough stare into the camera and act as though we didn't see what was plainly seen. The play is reminiscent of 1984. Because control becomes absolute when truth becomes optional. What's different today, though? Our eyes, ears, and receipts are all here. Therefore, truth always catches up, regardless of how high they are or how convinced they are in their lies. Drop matter how high they feel or how confident they lie. Reality always catches up. Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe if you stand for truth.